Hi, welcome to Tax Tips and Tea. My name is Lynette. I'm with AT Pros, and we are going to talk about the rejection that almost stopped me and why I'm glad. So, when I was very young in my career, I worked for a part-time tax firm after hours from my main job of payroll administration, accounting, and tax, but after hours. And that's back when we used to be open till 9, 10 o'clock at night doing taxes. And I was still young in my career. I was only maybe 3 years in, and I was working there, and a gentleman walked in and he looked at me and he said, "Absolutely not." And he turned around and left. And I was kind of shocked because I never had that experience before. I was already in my 20s. One of the reasons why I bring that up is because it made me go, well, I might be young, but it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing. And it just made me want to really be able to prove to people, even though I was young, that I had the knowledge. And I ended up deciding to go back to college at that time and finish up my degree. I already had 2 years in, plus some bookkeeping certificates and tax certificates and licensed and stuff, but I didn't have the accounting degree. So I went back to school and I decided to do that. And then here we are now, almost 30 years later, and I've been around the block a few times with my type of business, and I've seen the changes that have come into place and the new things and the new adventures and everything like that. And I'm just learning every single day new things. So one of the things that we're going to go over today is that when you get that big blow, that rejection, something that kind of hurts a little bit, I'm here to tell you that it's okay, because as long as you learn from it and you recover, you're going to really be able to explore new things that you can do and branch out and just become an expert in something that you really love and you're passionate about, and not worrying about that. That's always going to be in the back of your head, and use it as the stepping stone to the next level. That rejection, it was the 90s. A gentleman came in, he looked at me, said, "No way." It's not the first time a woman's been, said that to. But anyways, so let's go ahead and dive in. We're just going to go over some tips. It shouldn't take too long. So go ahead and grab a pen and paper and let's dive in. So when a rejection hits at the worst possible time, and so we're going to go over some of the worst times that it can hit. And is it really because of the rejection, or is it going to be maybe because of the environment that you're in or the mood that you're in? Are you tired? Are you happy? You can kind of like look at those things and kind of look back and see how you can make changes going forward. So, one, the no that arrived when you were already running low and it landed harder than it should have. Number two, giving one rejection more authority than it deserved because you were too depleted to push back against it. And what that means is that you are giving it your energy, you're giving it your time, you're giving it your thoughts, you're letting it dwell. Does it really deserve that? Does that rejection really deserve that much of your effort and your time, or is it just time to move on to something bigger and better? Number three, letting the wrong person's opinion about your potential become your operating belief about yourself. So being rejected is horrible, especially, in business, but are you going to let that define what you're doing, or are you still very confident about what you're doing and still driven to be able to do that one rejection, but you have five other offers? It doesn't make any sense to put that much effort into thinking about that. Number four, stopping at exactly the moment where the path was about to open because the rejection arrived just before the opening. So that was kind of in my case. I was new, I was young, I had my licensing, I had some certificates and everything like that, but I didn't have my accounting degree at the time. And it didn't really stop me. It made me more eager to be able to build on my career and become a better person. Even though I looked young at the time, I didn't want it to stop me from being who I wanted to be eventually. Number five, the fear that the rejection revealed something true, that it saw you more clearly than the people who believed in you. So we are our biggest enemies when it comes to our thoughts. We're in our head. We think negative about ourselves. We might think that we have imposter syndrome. And if that's how you're taking it, then it's going to be very hard to move on from that. So the first thing you need to do is get that away. A rejection is not the end of times. It's just a way for you to learn from it and move forward. Number six, the alternative path you almost took because you let one no redirect you from a yes that was already forming. So let's say that you were offering a new product or something like that, and someone said, "Nah, I'm not interested." And you were kind of like, wow, I thought I really landed that. And I thought they were going to really like it. It doesn't mean that your product is bad. It just means that that person wasn't interested at that time. So don't sway from your goals. Don't leave, what you have done and worked for behind just because of a rejection. So sometimes it's time to move to the next client. So six things I know about rejection. The source matters. So one is, not every rejection deserves equal weight. Who is saying it? Is it a current client? Is it a potential client? Was it just a random person that was referred to you? Who was it? Does it matter? Does it give any weight? The timing is not truth. A rejection that arrives when you're depleted, overextended, or mid transition feels more significant than it is. Like I said, are you trying to, have a new product? Are you trying to sell something new, a new service or something, a new service line? And someone says, nah, I'm not interested, or maybe they even say something negative about it. How are you mentally? Are you in the right capacity to know that your product is good and that what they're saying is just their opinion and you're going to move on to the next person? So kind of take a look at how you're feeling at that time too when you were rejected, and make sure that that's not a weight that you bring into the next day or into your next conversation. The alternative path has a cost. Every time you redirect because of a rejection, you pay the cost of the alternative path. Before you pivot, calculate that cost against the cost of continuing. I can honestly say that I've had rejections. They didn't hurt, but I did pivot from my original goal. The bad thing about that is that it sets you back. So every time you pivot from something, you've just lost that time that you invested into that product, that service, or whatever it is that you have. And you can't get your time back. So either you improve on that product, you scrap it and start over, yes. But you can't do that just because of a rejection. You have to do that because the product is just not going in the right direction that you were hoping for. But you don't want to lose that time on something you put so much time and effort into just because of a rejection. 4, grief is part of the process. I'm going to say it's okay to be sad about it. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to maybe kick yourself in the butt, and be like, oh man, I really messed that up. Or I know the product's good. I just don't know. Talk to someone. That's always a good thing. Run it by someone. Talk to your accountant. Talk to a business person. Talk to somebody to see if the product makes sense or the service makes sense. It's okay to feel upset about it that you put so much effort into something just for rejection. We don't like rejection, but we need to learn from that and move forward. Number 5, keep one person in your corner. Like I just said, have someone you can rely on, someone you could talk to, someone you could bounce questions off of, someone who's not going to judge you, someone who's going to give you honest advice. That is always a good person to have. It's good to have a networking partner or somebody that's maybe even in the same industry as you, or someone who knows your business, your accountant, your tax person, or someone that you have a close relationship with, your financial advisor. That's another one that's great. And see if maybe you could treat them to dinner. Maybe you could bounce some questions off of them, especially if they have a lot of years in their business or have experience and exposure over a lot of different types of clients. Number 6, the story you tell afterwards matters. Are you going to say that the client just wasn't interested, or are you going to say that you were rejected because your product wasn't good? So you have to be able to reframe the rejection of the client wasn't interested at that time. Maybe I'll circle around in 6 months and see if they are interested, or introduce them to a new part of the product or something like that as you grow. The rejection doesn't mean anything. It just means that the person wasn't interested at that time. So what the experts say, I'm the expert. I'm saying that rejection I almost let end everything was the best thing that happened to my business. Not because it was kind, but because surviving it made me certain. The thing you build after the almost stop is the most intentional thing you'll ever build. I do like recommending a couple books. I have not read these, but they were books that were recommended based on my topics. So one is called Rising Strong. It's the specific process of getting back up after a rejection. And Brave, Not Perfect means that building the muscle of resilience. I am actually going to get that one because I still get a little hurt when I'm rejected. If I have a client that I'm meeting with, or potential client, and they're saying, I'm not interested, but they were a warm lead. They were at my door. They were calling me. They were talking to me. And then they changed their mind. There's still a little bit of a little dagger in the heart when someone says no, even, after 20 something years of being in business. It's just still a little hard. So that might be a book that I'm definitely going to put in my Audible and take a look at. So the rejection you survived was not the last chapter. It was the turn. So think about it like, that chapter is closed and now you're on a new clean slate. You have a new piece of paper. Brainstorm ideas. What could you have improved on that would have possibly made the client say yes? So the rejection that felt like an ending was often the exact point where the real story began. Not every rejection deserves the authority you gave it. Learn to evaluate the source. Like I said, if it's a new client or a potential new client, they don't know you. And I really truly believe that people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And a person just, you're walking into their office for the very first time, they don't know you. So getting that rejection, it's nothing to them, even though it might be a little hurtful to you. It's nothing to them because they're a business owner probably, and they handle rejections every day. That's all they're doing is trying to block sales calls, block this, block that. So don't take it too personal. So grief after a significant no is healthy. So it's okay to take an afternoon off and just kind of like feel a little gloom and doom, get yourself a little bit of ice cream or something, or go work out or do something that you like. It's okay to grieve a little bit after that, but then it's time to pick it back up and get back on the horse, you could say. What you build after the almost stop is the most intentional thing you will ever create. Reevaluate your process, reevaluate your product, reevaluate the conversation that you had, and learn how to build from that so that the next time you're better prepared. So the rejection wasn't the end, it was where the real story started. So I want you to take a moment to reflect, okay? What rejection are you still carrying that hasn't fully lost its authority over you? And what would you change if you decided today what that rejection would mean? So just sit down, write it down. Think about the time that someone rejected you on a business level and you kind of took a little too hard. You grieved a little too long. You doubted yourself. You gave you thought about imposter syndrome. Am I just faking it? Or do I really know my stuff? What does everybody else know? Why didn't I get that? Write those things down though, but then let them go. It's time to let them go. So, something that I want you to start this month, okay? If you are holding on to something, a rejection that's really still, really still lingering with you. So, name the rejection that you're still carrying. That's number one. Two, evaluate the source. Who was it? Who said it? Was it a potential client? Was it a warm referral? Was it a cold lead? How much weight do you give to it? If it's someone that you don't really know, it probably really doesn't matter. If it's someone that was very close, it was a hot lead, it was a referral from one of your best clients and you just blew it, reevaluate that. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be upset. What did I do wrong or whatever? One thing we don't want to do is to go into a meeting in that as a desperate person, like we need to get this client. The person will feel it, but also just reevaluate what you did right, what you did wrong, and how to fix that. But it's okay to feel sad about it too. Number four, identify the person who holds your vision, who keeps believing in what you are building, even though you don't. Tell them what you're carrying and let them hold it for you or hold it with you. So that's basically talking to someone that's the business partner, that's the accountant, the tax person, the financial advisor, a business colleague, someone in your field, a mentor, somebody, and let them help you with those things too. It hurts to keep it all bottled up, but once you go out and you start talking to people in that and ask them about their biggest problems like that, they're probably going to give you some insight and you're going to learn a lot from it. But one thing that we don't do is we try and say that everything's fine and we're doing great. And sometimes things hurt. It's okay for that. But maybe someone can help you out. Number five, write what this rejection will mean. Not what it means right now, what you decide it will mean. A sentence, a paragraph, write the meaning you choose to carry forward. How are you going to remember this? Are you going to remember that rejection from now on? Are you going to remember it as a learning vehicle, something that you were taught, or is it going to be something that you carry as a rejection to you as a person? So you have to decide that, but write it down and learn from it and make sure that you move forward from that by either learning from it or letting it go. So that's the end of it. I hope you like this information. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. We also are on Substack and Instagram. I'm actually going to be starting up a Pinterest, but that's not really something that people go on to too much. It's just for some marketing stuff, but they're all under Tax Tips and Tea. And make sure that you share this with anybody that may find some use out of it. We all like someone to talk to. So I'm really hoping that you got something out of this, something that maybe you were struggling with and you didn't know how to let it go. I could tell you this, let it go. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the comments below over on Substack or in our next video. Thank you so much.